Hi everybody, welcome to All Games New and Old. I'm David Rodriguez.
And I'm Hillary Rodriguez.
And today we are going to be reviewing Worldbreakers, Advent of the Khanate. This was published in 2023 from Sextant Studios and was designed by, it's either Eli Amir or Ellie Amir. It's E-L-L-I Amir. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it.
It's a 1 to 2 player game and plays in about 30 minutes.
Yes, indeed. And so if you're playing the two-player mode, you are basically battling it out. You're going to be attacking each other to gain power. You're going to be trying to amass Mithium, and you have various kinds of locations you can put out, and warriors you can send forth, all sorts of things. You're going to be gaining that Mithium to buy, or to be able to play your cards. There's a lot of just resource stuff that you're trying to keep a handle on, and get to that 10 power before your opponent does, or at least be at the end of a round with more power than the opponent does once you've reached 10. And that's really the basic gist. There's also a solo campaign mode, which will take you scenario by scenario. Each one is going to have different rules and specific cards you're going to play with, and your deck will sort of change a little bit over time as you progress through the campaign.
I think the artwork in this game is really, really well done. As we're looking through the cards, I noticed that they credited different illustrators for the artwork. I think they may have used a different artwork for each guild, but I'm not totally sure if that's correct. But I did notice at least a few different artists throughout the cards. So I think that they did a really good job of making each guild feel different through the artwork and also through the play. But especially in the artwork, each guild definitely has its own style that they used. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the artwork on this is what drew me to it when it was on Kickstarter. It was just so pretty. I loved every bit of it. I like that it's got some historical accuracy, but also has, magic thrown in, and it makes for some very just gorgeous pictures. I could look at this kind of art all day long. So, absolutely love that aspect of it. And I, like you said, there's different artists, but I feel like the style feels very consistent throughout. It's not like jarring, going from one artist to another. I didn't think. The components, I thought the card quality seems great to me. I don't have any issue. But we do have some nitpicks about various components or how they're used.
Yeah. One of my nitpicks is with the markers for the location cards. The location cards have like some circle spots that are where the tokens are supposed to be, but the tokens are bigger than those spots. So, a lot of the location cards has some extra fluff on the cards. So if they could have reduced some of the fluff, they could have made the spots a little bigger so the tokens fit on the card better, or something to make it so that it wasn't quite so misaligned.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want those tokens to be any smaller, but I think they needed to do something to make that. I mean, I could work with it. It just doesn't line up the way I think it should, and it kind of irks me.
Yeah.
My big complaint with this is when I learn a game, if possible, I'll usually look up a how to play video, and then I'll read the rules, because that just helps my brain do it. Because that way, when I put into a rule, I kind of know what it's talking about, and I can kind of picture it in my head better. And the video I watched, I wish I could remember who it was. I'm sorry that I can't. I believe was playing on Tabletop Simulator, maybe, while the game was still in Kickstarter. And so on there, to keep track of your standing with different guilds, they basically had a card or a board or something that had each guild, and then you would put a die next to it, a 6-sided die, and just turn it to whatever number matched the amount of standing you had in that guild. Whereas with the current ones, you have these, there's a card for each guild, and it has just 6 lines, and you tuck it under the card for your Worldbreaker, your character you're playing, and you sort of pull it out and reveal another line as you go up in standing with them. So already there's a little problem, because I found it really easy to just knock those askew, and then I think I remembered correctly. Where I was at, but possibly I didn't. But you can build your own deck, and you could put as many of these guilds in as you want. I don't know if it would make sense to play with all 4, but you could. And so, I mean, they show them kind of overlapping each other, and oh my god, I can't even imagine keeping track of this.
Yeah, it's just so easy to bump into it and make it spin.
Yeah, and if you're pulling one out and not the other, it's easy to mess it up even just trying to do that. So, yeah, I think personally what I would do in the future is get those standing cards out and then copy what they did in Tabletop Simulator and just put a die on it and just flip it to whatever one I want, because I think that's less likely. I mean, you can knock over a die too, I guess, but I think it's less likely to be a problem.
Yeah, I think, if they did use a die, or, there's a lot of cardboard component tokens, so, use a dial system or something, I think would have been a little easier.
Yeah. I will tell you about a complaint we almost had. You ready? So, we were like, there's really not enough wound tokens here. Or was it the wounds that we first noticed? Anyway.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough. Okay? And that was a little weird. But what we didn't know is somehow, maybe our youngest kid, maybe one of our, I don't know, got some of the tokens and took them down and put them in the garage. I don't know why. I don't know how. But some of them were down there. So we almost complained about this.
Yeah.
But I think we're wrong. So.
Although there wasn't that many. I think it was like, I just found like one of each token. So it wouldn't have been like a huge amount different than what we had.
So in theory, if you have a lot of fighters out that have a lot of health and they've all gotten dinged a bit, you might start having a problem.
Yeah.
Perhaps. I don't know that that's super, super common, but it could happen.
I think we had like 3 warriors out each, which I feel like is not too... would be too uncommon to have, so...
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, it's not a massive issue. It's really... You can figure out to put a penny on it or something, whatever. There it is. Put a die on it. I like putting dies on things, apparently. Do that. Sounds great. Okay, so for a theme, this takes place in 13th century China, but it is an alternate history where they have discovered this element called Mithium, and it sort of gives them power and magic abilities and whatnot. And in this game, it uses currency as well. I really like this theme a lot. I like the idea of it. I like that they have the flavor text on the cards. Some of that flavor text is going to be based in actual history. Some of it is going to be based on, the way that they've altered it. I like that. That's fun. Don't use it as a report on China, kids. It's not going to be accurate. But I really dig that a lot. I feel like the different guilds are very driven towards a certain kind of play, and I sort of enjoy that as well. Like you have I think, I'm not sure if I'm saying Kudaloon, who's like this warrior, and so like her guild is very, very attacky. Like that is their whole bread and butter right there. I like it. I feel like the theme comes out really well.
I think they did a really good job of incorporating the theme into each guild, and each guild it plays very differently. The theme mixed with the way that the guild plays, I think, is meshed really well together. The only problem with that a little bit, though, is that this game feels like it's really designed to combine guilds together, and then you're losing some of the theme. So
yeah, like I don't know how. I mean, again, I don't know if it's wise to do this. If you stick all 4 guilds in your deck, and now you're playing also against someone who has to have some of those guilds in their deck, like what is happening? I don't know. It's a little weird. So yeah, I mean, the theme can sort of fall apart a little bit there, but I still dig. I actually really hope that going forward they make more games in this world of different types. I would like to see them expand out and do some different, because I like it. I really like this world. I'd like to know more and see more. So I'm getting ahead of myself, but my point is I like the theme. It's good. I think it's wrapped up enough in this for me to make me happy. The solo campaign, I just played a little bit of that, but that just has it's not this massive tome of stuff you have to read. A little blurb about why you're starting out, what's happening, and that'll just keep happening as you go. And you get the sense of what's going on based on the cards that you're able to have as your deck changes and the enemy deck changes as well. Well done. Really well done.
So overall, I really like the artwork of this game. I like what they did with this game. I like the theme that they incorporated. I like the world that they're building. I really like the artwork. Where the game kind of falls apart for me is in the wording. Being dyslexic, this game was very difficult for me. If you didn't watch it, we did do a first thoughts video, and the designer was really nice and did reach out and to let us know that they did find that people that are dyslexic do have problems with this kind of game, and they tried to kind of work around it, but obviously it didn't work for me. but to, if we thought of anything that would help, to kind of let them know. And so I appreciate that they reached out, and that they said that. And so it actually made me think about what the problems were that I was having with this game, more than just I'm having issues. So I tried to really pick out some of the cards that I especially had troubles with, to try and figure out what it was about that card that I was having trouble with it. And kind of what I ended up coming up with, that I think the problem is for me, is that each card has its own unique name, but it's not the name of the character on the card. It's more of a description, like Lonely Bard or something assassin, and so the Astrometer, and so it gave a description, but didn't, it wasn't a actual name for the character. And so it would be like the Lonely Bard does this when attacking. And so I think if they would have, because they kept using that, more of a description of the character on the card instead of an actual name for the character on the card, I kept thinking they were keywords. And so I would be like, oh, well, what does this mean? And then it was like, that's not a keyword. And so then, I finally, realized that they were using the name of the card, but I still kept running into the problem where my brain wanted that to be a keyword because I wasn't recognizing it as a name. The other issue that I had, is that a lot of times on the same cards, they would then refer to the card as it, and so, it got me confused because it's they were using the name of the card, but then they were referring to the card as the card instead of the character, and so it really just made a disconnect from my brain, and just made it so that I was constantly having to read the cards 2-3 times, and then even then sometimes I would have to hand the card to him and to make sure that I was to understand what the card was saying, or to make sure that I was actually reading the card correctly. And then I'm showing him what I have in my hand, and so then I kind of feel like, regardless of what that card says, unless I can't use it, I feel like I have to play that card because now he knows that I have that card in my hand.
Yeah.
So, because of that, it made the game frustrating, and not in a good, this game is challenging, frustrating way, just in a, I'm frustrated, I feel like I'm back in high school being teased type of way.
Should I not have been teasing you the whole time? I did. It's very nice.
But yeah, it gets that, especially anybody that's out there that has any kind of learning disability, or any kind of disability, they kind of know what I'm talking about, where it's especially if you went undiagnosed and you finally got diagnosed, there's so many times where it's I had this problem and I didn't know why, and you might now know what that problem is, but it doesn't take away that frustration that you had back then. And that's kind of where I'm at with this game, where I'm having, the game's frustrating me because of the name of the cards and some of the wording on it, and now that I kind of know why the cards are frustrating me, it helps, but it still can't push past that frustration that I have with playing it.
Yeah, fair enough. So, I'm not going to actually quote what an actual card says because I just don't remember off the top of my head, but it might be so the card's called Lowly Bard, and then I'll say, when Lowly Bard attacks, blah, 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 whatever. Do you think it would have been easier if it still said Lowly Bard when this follower attacks, instead of saying the name again?
Yeah, I think that would have been helpful. If it was just, when this follower, or when this card, or even if they just said when attacking with this card or something like that, because they kept going back and forth, and because if they would have stuck with Lonely Bard, if they would have then, when the Lonely Bard attacks, they do this, and then it can be discard card when they're done, or but instead it would be the Lonely Bard, when the Lonely Bard attacks, it gets this, blah blah blah, discard it, and then I'm wait, what's it? Like, so,
Yeah.
so it, like, so I think that, like, that would have been better if they would have given, like, actual names instead of just saying Lonely Bard. That would have helped me, like, kind of realize that they were talking about the card instead of a keyword. So there's just some, like, minor tweaks that I think they could have done that would have been a lot more beneficial for me. But I don't know how the gameplay, I don't know how that would have changed. So I think it would have been better, but it's hard to say for sure.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, this kind of game, I think it's going to be a hard challenge to get around. Mm-hmm. There might be ways to do it, but I don't even know if it would be the same per person. You know what I mean? So it's tough. But I thought it was awesome that they reached out to say something about it, because they could have just been like, well, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, but that's neat. I'm not dyslexic, so let me start that. I'm not dyslexic, so I didn't have that particular issue. Anytime you have a game like this, that a lot of the rule, the things that alter the rule are on the cards, they're going to be giving you that information in a certain way that you sort of have to get used to how they word things, which took me a minute to do, but I got to the point where it's like, okay, I get what they're trying to tell me now, and it wasn't too big an issue. So in that sense, if you don't have one of those particular issues, I don't think it's too hard to get the hang of, which is sort of nice. And it's nice to do it at this stage where there's not a trillion keywords out there across, like, who knows how many guilds they'll eventually end up at. I know they're coming out with their expansion sometime, but I like that. When we first played, we played with the starter decks, which are all just like one specific guild, and we each played with all of them. And I think, and I should say, there's a caveat here, people who like play with those a lot more may completely disagree with what we're going to say, okay? But at least upon our initial plays, it felt like they weren't super well balanced against each other. Mm-hmm. We both struggled with the Void Guild, who's fairly attacky, but not super heavy hitting like the Earth Guild was. But they need Mithium to do their best stuff, but it's hard to get Mithium with them. I mean, did you think that the balance between those is an issue too? I mean, I think.
Yeah, I definitely felt like the Void was the weakest of the four, just by it, like, if you're just playing that guild the guilds by themselves and not mixing them up. There's definitely some really great cards within the Void Guild to use. They don't have a lot of chances of gaining a lot of Mithium, and so being able to pull off those really cool cards was really difficult.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I think games like this are really designed so that you're going to build your own decks and blend them and find the cool combos. So, not real shocking. It was a good way to learn the different guilds and what the cards do, so that's cool. It's just something to kind of be aware of, that you might find that they don't balance super great against each other, or some matchups are a little tougher than others on one side. One thing that I really liked in this, and I was afraid at first that I would not, is the way the round shifts. So in every round, each player has 4 turns. Each turn, you get to do one of your actions. So you could be like, gain Mithium, you could pay some Mithium to gain standing in a guild, you could draw a card, you could play a card, you could attack, you could develop one of your locations, which will give you some kind of bonus. And like I said, each player only gets 4 of those per round. And if you have the last turn in the round, you then go to the rally phase, and that gets you some more Mithium cards or whatever. And then you flip over the round tracker, and if you were the last player in the previous round, you're the first player in the new round. So you get a double turn. And then when this round's over, the other person's going to get the double turn. And I was worried I wouldn't like that because of a very different game, Warhammer Age of Sigmar, where like it's so different. Where each round the first player is determined randomly. So if you get a player with a double turn, like it could be over. Like, you just know whoever gets the first turn next round is gonna win. But that is not the case here. I was worried about that, and it didn't end up being anything I had to worry about. I think it's something that you can plan for. You either know your opponent's going to get 2 turns, or you know that you will, which will change the kind of decisions you're going to make on what you're going to play or try to do. And I actually really like that. I like that was knowing that I was coming, whichever way it was. each round. Did you like that, or did you find it to be like not cool? Or
Yeah, it definitely bothered me when we first played it. As we played it more, I got used to it, and so getting used to the like, okay, like, you know, the first like 1 or 2 turns that I'm gonna take, I might not be able to do what I want to do, but like, you know, if I'm the second player, it's like, okay, well, like I might not be able to do what I want to do this round, but I can set myself up for the next round, knowing that I'm gonna have a first turn, and that I have that rally in between where I'm gonna gain some Mithium, and I'm going to gain at least 1 card. So, you know, I can kind of plan out, like, if I want to get more Mithium, if I want to get another card so I have a better chance of playing something good, or if I want to, you know, put something out for my hand. So, yeah, I feel like the round can really feel like the first player has an edge, but because of that turnaround, you know, it really gives you a chance to try and catch up on the next round.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing I really liked about this game is that if you do build your deck and you build it and it's garbage, you just didn't put it together well, the games are not that long. Mm-hmm. You could just tweak a few things and reset up. We kind of talked about, we were comparing it to Vampire the Masquerade Rivals, which is it's a different playing game, a kind of similar-ish card game where you build your deck and yada yada. Anyway, but the problem with that game is if you build a deck that just doesn't work, you're playing that game for like 2 hours. And that's 2 hours of pain. Whereas this one, you know, like I said, you can just switch gears after a play and be like, hey, let me change a few cards, let's try this again. I want to like mess around with this. It's so much easier because of the speed of the game. I like that a lot, especially being the kind of person who doesn't I'm not used to building decks for games like this, so it's not something that comes to me extremely easily. I'm just kind of like, I'm going to try to cover the bases I think I need and hope it all works out. I like doing it like that and then iterating on it afterwards. Be like, okay, these things didn't actually be as useful as I thought they would, so let me swap those out for something. I like that kind of thing. That's neat.
Yeah.
I did play a little bit of the solo campaign. I liked it a lot. It's odd because it plays almost exactly the same, but it is sort of a different thought process because you sort of know, because of the enemy cards, like what actions they're going to take. Like in the first round, it's just they're either going to draw the first card off the deck and play it out immediately, or the next round they're going to attack. Like that's what it is, back and forth over and over again. So you know how to react to that, which just makes it a different kind of puzzle, which I kind of enjoy. I actually really like the solo mode a lot. So I hope they come out with more like solo campaigns. This one has like 10 scenarios, which is great. But I would be happy if they kept coming up with more, especially as they come out with new factions and whatnot.
So I did not play the solo games. With the one-on-one, it's the first player to 10. What's the end game for the solo mode?
So for the solo mode, it's going to be a little different each scenario, but it still is a matter of how much power you get.
Because do they get power?
Yeah, they do. So like if you have, if you're drawing the cards for the bad guy and it says attack, pretty much everyone on their side in that case is going to attack you. So if any of them get through, then your enemy is going to get power that way, and you're going to get power either like in the first scenario of the game, you can't attack at all. You just have to defend and build up and pray. I did beat it, so there. But in subsequent rounds, as you get the ability to attack more, you could gain power that way. But it could be a different amount each time. Like the first one is like you get to 6 power, which feels real tight. You just have to hold out against them and get your 6 power before they can. I really enjoy that puzzle. I think it's good. And enough little story elements without being overwhelming that, I had a feel for what I was doing. I really liked it.
So for my final score, it's probably not going to come as too much of a surprise. That's going to be kind of low because I can't go past the frustration that I have with the wording on these cards. I do like when I had cards that I wasn't frustrated by, I did enjoy the game and I did like playing the game. There's a lot of things I do like about this game. There's just too many cards that I can't get past the phrasing and wording on them. And like because of the way they unless I just memorize all the cards, which would take me a lot of playthroughs to do it. and I don't want to feel like I'm having to push myself through this frustration to get to the game. So for me, I'm gonna give it a 5. You know, I think if I could do some minor tweaks on the wording, then, you know, I think I would enjoy this game a lot more. But just as it is, I can't get past that frustration. So
yeah, I mean that's fair. I mean, you've got that, you know, specific thing going on where it just can't work for you very well or very easily anyway. And that's tough, especially in a competitive game.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't want to feel like you have a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I really enjoyed this game. I'd like to reiterate to the company, please come out with more solo campaign stuff. I'm going to find people who will play this with me because I really like it a lot. But I'm going to give it an 8. I really enjoy it quite a bit. You know, I think if they keep coming out with expansions that add some more like neat possible combos and whatnot to the game, my opinion of it could possibly grow. But as it is, I really like pretty much every element of it. So it's an 8 for me. I genuinely hope they do more in this world. I hope, I don't know, whatever. Make any kind of game you could think of. Just do it. Do it. It'd be so good. Area control, adventure game. I don't care. Roll and write. Whatever. Do it. Make some more. So that's where we stand. 8 and a 5. You know, pretty different scores from each of us, but we all, you know, we have our reasons for that. And you can probably determine for yourself if you think those things will be positives or negatives for you. So, with that being said, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit like and subscribe and click the little bell icon so you can know about the next time we put out a video. Otherwise, look forward to see you all around the table again at All Games New and Old. Bye. Only cat hair allowed.
And so, when you're super friend,
If you enjoyed that video, you might also like this one.
or this one.
If you like any of our videos, what you should do is click this little button to subscribe so you'll know about the next time we put out a video.
We'll see you around the table.
Bye.
Bye.